So I have done my fair share of sponsored videos over the course of the channel's life, but this one right here really stood out to me. Now, I do want to go ahead here and preface this by stating that this was a scam. Neither the official company nor the game in question really reached out to me, but man, do I have a short story for all of you. Now, if this sounds interesting to you, if you want to stay up to date with all of the latest MMO news, then go down, click that subscribe button, become part of our community. Now, let me go on here and elaborate a little bit on what this was about. Now, New World has held various different test phases over the course of the game's development, and both MRSSTIX and I have been invited to pretty much every single test phase. We have been messaged directly via their social media. We have been in contact with them directly via email, but this time they reached out to us via email and they wanted us to participate in their most recent test phase. Again, they, not Amazon directly, these scammers. Now, the first thing I noticed was that they reached out to me via a Gmail email. This was as opposed to using a playnewworld.com email or any type of Amazon email. Instead, they had their name with a period and then Amazon@gmail.com as their contact email. They then went on to claim that they work directly at Amazon Games and they work directly at the game in question. They reached out to me and they said, hey, we're looking for you to join our latest test phase. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. I've covered New World in the past. I've covered one or two of their test phases as well. I am more than happy to go ahead, download the latest version of the game via Steam, which is how I have always played it, jump into whatever content you guys want and do a sponsored video on it. I proceeded to ask them, what kind of budget do you guys have? They went on to respond with, our budget is unlimited. And I sat there for a moment and I was like, well, that's highly unusual because typically companies have a set budget for advertising campaigns, but you know, it might just be that Amazon have an infinite budget because I mean, they're Amazon. So I said, okay, cool. Well, realistically, we charge this much money, but I figured due to the fact that this was a little bit suspect to me at this point in the conversation, I would go ahead and ask for more than I would otherwise. So I said, well, sure. We want about $5,000 for the video. And they said, okay, yep, sure, gotcha, no problem. At that point, I sat there and pondered for a moment why they didn't even attempt to negotiate the price. They just accepted my first offer. Then they went ahead and they included the link to a Google Drive folder. At that point, I messaged them back and I'm like, what is this? To which they responded with, well, you know, in the past, you have downloaded the game via Steam and you have accessed the game via Steam, but this time around, we're doing it directly via a Google Drive file. Now, I am not the kind of person that just clicks a Google Drive link in my email. I know better than to click random links. So I responded with, hey, I'm not comfortable downloading a RAR file via Google Drive. Could you send me keys to access the game via Steam? And they responded with, they have issues with Steam right now and they're unable to provide the game and the test phase for that game that I require via Steam. And every content creator, of which there are, and I quote here, hundreds, are all accessing it via the same Google Drive link. So at that point, I thought to myself, okay, this person, they're emailing me via a Gmail email. They are offering me pretty much as much money as I want. They went on to state they have a completely unlimited budget and they are asking me to download a RAR file via Google Drive. Now, I mean, you know what? At this point, I was very concerned that they were scammers, but I had been in contact with the Elion developers a few months before, and they had sent me their version of the game, which was in South Korean at the time, via Google Drive as well. And we downloaded that RAR file because they had contacted me directly via their official social media profiles, the official Elion Twitter and Facebook, and they had absolutely no issue emailing me from a Elion.com email. So at this point, I responded with, okay, I am willing to give you guys the benefit of the doubt here and go out and assume that you're not trying to scam me. So with this in mind, all I need to download this email is verification that you are who you're saying you are. So I asked them if they would go about messaging me via the New World Twitter. This Twitter is a Twitter that I have already sent messages to and received messages from, meaning that we have already had direct contact with one another in the past. Now, when I asked this, she said, and I quote here, "You can simply not cooperate with us if you think this is a deception. You understand? I cannot just pull people from the management, as we were planning a very extensive advertising campaign and hundreds of YouTubers will be cooperating with us. This will look not so good if for every YouTuber I will tug at the leadership." So this person got incredibly defensive and said, "Hey, you know what? You could just not work with us then if you think that we're trying to deceive you." Now, I messaged them and I let them know that in the past, the New World team and I had been in direct contact with one another, so this was not going to be an issue. They could have anyone from the New World team reach out to me, multiple people of which I have received emails from in the past, or they could just have literally anyone just message me briefly via social media and tell me that this person is who they say they are. They then followed up by stating the reason that they are unable to use their official email is because they are on vacation and they do not currently possess access to it. But if I am curious if they are who they say they are, I can go ahead and check out their LinkedIn profile. And I just, at that point, sat there and thought to myself, so this is an enormous campaign that is currently ongoing for one of the biggest MMO releases of 2021 from one of the largest companies in the entire world, and you are micromanaging all of this while on vacation? That is why you cannot email me from your playnewworld.com or your amazon.com email. You don't want to ask people I am already directly in contact with to verify you are who you say you are. You just want me to take you on your word and download this random RAR file. That is what you're telling me here. And all I have to go off of is the fact that you have a profile picture, the same profile picture that was used on LinkedIn, and an email with the same name associated with that LinkedIn profile, but with an @gmail.com extension. This is why you're telling me I have to believe. Now, I went on and responded to them by stating that I could not in good faith take them at their word here because I would be risking the entire channel by downloading a completely random RAR file from a complete stranger. It was at this point that they went on to state that they were willing to adjust how much they were willing to pay and that they would pay everything up front. Now, I have done an extensive number of sponsorships over the course of the 4 years the channel has been online, and never has a PR company, never have a developer or a publisher paid you up front. They want you to go ahead, they want you to record your game, they want you to record your video. They then want the draft for the video. After watching through it, they may or may not request alterations to that video. And then after they are satisfied with it, after you have successfully published your video on your channel, some companies will pay you as the video goes live. Other companies will pay you 30 days, 60 days after the video goes live. None of them pay you before you even record it. This had so many red flags, and at that point I was ready to just cut off any kind of communication I had with them, because honestly it could not be any more obvious that this was a scam than it already was. Now again, this was not New World, this was not Amazon Games. These were scammers that wanted us to download a RAR file so they could install something on our computers and take over our channel, or not even just our channel, to gain access to our bank account information, whatever these hackers do. And I know of people that have fallen victim to scams like this in the past, and it is terrible. And this is honestly not even the first time this has happened. I've had various sponsorship opportunities from various VPNs that I've never even heard of, like computer cleaning software, tons of different things that all have you install the software and are all willing to pay up front. Now, I did not accept this personally, but I know that there would probably be people out there, plenty of other creators that aren't necessarily as large or have not had as extensive an experience over the course of their career as I have, and these people might take them up on their offer and lose everything they have worked for. And that is just absolutely disgusting to realize. Now, there are always going to be scammers out there. You have to do your due diligence when you are accepting sponsorships, when you are downloading games, when you're downloading software online. I do not hold Amazon Games or New World responsible for this. It sucks that there are scammers out there that are using their name and trying to take advantage of YouTubers or of just general players by using their name, but at the end of the day, there's nothing you can do about it. Anyway, guys, that is everything I wanted to talk about today. If I had not seen these red flags, I may have clicked that RAR file, I may have downloaded that RAR file. $5,000 seems like a great deal, especially to be paid up front. And if I had agreed to that, if I had downloaded that RAR file, I very likely would have been hacked and lost my account. Thankfully, I know better, but it's a crazy world we live in. What can I say?
Someday soon, I'm gonna make